Hi,
Hello,
I'm Julian.
and I am Mayor Tom.
We are Team Binge, and we are here to talk about Widow's Bay. This is going to be a recap episode after season 1. Typically, when we record, we do it right after we've watched an episode, so we've gotten a chance to kind of digest a little bit on the finale, as well as this season of television, which Tom and I love so much. Got to be honest, Tom, we're back to the days where I'm telling people about a TV show. It's been a little while since I've loved something so much that I've suggested, and you got to suggest it to the right crowd. There's like certain people, like I'm not going to suggest this to Gam Gam because I don't want Gam Gam to go to heaven too soon, and I feel like this might stop her heart, but I enjoyed this season, so we wanted to talk about it. And so what we're going to do is just go through finale thoughts, and then we got some questions through email and talk through. Tom, have you rewatched this season of television yet?
I haven't yet, but I feel like I'm definitely going to. I went back and watched the first episode. I think after you said you had watched it to kind of clock some stuff about like things in the historical museum or society kind of thing, which were great and fantastic Easter eggs. I've kind of written a couple extra down here that we didn't touch on pod that I think could be interesting to chat through. But I feel like this is like the perfect show for rewatchability. Like kind of now knowing where we're going with the story, and kind of this almost like being like the origin story for Tom and this crew and what they're going to do next. I think it'd be a fantastic rewatch, and I definitely plan to.
So I've already rewatched it, Tom, and I don't say that. I don't think it's sad at all. I don't think it's sad at all that I took the time to rewatch an entire season of television that I enjoyed. But I have rewatched it. What I'll find is it's less scary the second go around because you know what's coming, but also it gives you the freedom to kind of look around in the background and see what's going on. And so there were definitely some things that I did not catch in the moment that I enjoyed on the rewatch. So I would encourage people to do that. And then obviously, we're going to go into a season 2, so there's some questions and conjecture that Tom and I are going to talk through. Tom, I'd like to play a game where during this podcast, I'm going to ask you a question, and neither of us are allowed to say, I don't know, to any question asked of the other person. We just have to make up the truth on the spot. So good luck, friend.
Ooh,
and then,
tricky.
Yeah, then we'll draw down with everyone's favorite audience corner. But let's dive into finale digestion, which is definitely a phrase no one should say. And honestly, as it exited my mouth, I felt bad about it. But I just want to talk about some stuff that rewatching the finale I picked up on, I thought a lot about, and I want to get your take on it. And part of it is, we spent a lot of time with Ruth in the finale, and I feel like she mentioned several things as she's going through like history with Tom that I think are going to either come back or play a part in this show. And I want to say, Tom, have you watched Katie Dippold on any interviews? Have you watched her talk at all? She's the creator and main writer of the show.
I've seen a handful of like YouTube clips and things like that, but not like full long form interviews. Have you?
I have, and one of the things she said that I found very poignant is she loves a detailed throwaway line or joke that may or may not come back into play, like in a major way or in a way at all. And as you watch this show, you definitely see, so like when Ruth says, "Oh, this is my beloved Alfred, got bit by an animal, became that animal," like that can be a funny joke, but also based on what she said, I feel like that definitely could come into play. And I think you even mentioned, hey, season 2, I feel like we've got some werewolves in our future, maybe?
Yeah, there's got to be like a Werewolves of London kind of like homage. It's got to happen.
Yeah, and so I feel like we can theory craft about this show, but I also believe that some of the stuff that's said may have just been said for kicks. For instance, the calendar that was in episode 1 that's of wolves, I know that you and I discussed this, that there's a picture of a vehicle rolled over. Found out in one of the interviews, that was just a joke. There's nothing more to that. There's no deeper meaning. I've like built a shrine to it and spent all this time trying to decrypt it. Turns out maybe it comes into play in season 2, but there's a good chance it was just a joke they liked, and they liked the way Matt Rhys played it, so they put it in the show, and that's it. And
That's so great. I feel like I did see something similar to like the age of Shep, the guy that kind of goes missing in the first episode. I think him being 37, I think she says in an interview that it's less some sort of weird timey-wimey stuff going on the island, but more like the doctor's ineptitude, and he just didn't know what the age was or put the wrong date. So I think that's also another thing that
it's
probably
another
isn't
point
a greater
where
reading.
you and I on multiple occasions were like, now they're talking about age again. Are these people truly that age? And it's just a joke they put in the show. And this show is so well done that I am okay with it. I don't need it all to like make complete sense and line up. You had read the quote from the finale on the cross stitch, that long written form. I just want to point out, I discovered that's actually a Tennessee Williams quote, the author and playwright Tennessee Williams. So you can look up the rest of that quote, because I know we were a little bit confused on what the cross stitch actually said. I'm not going to reread it, but people can go out and read that quote. And talking about cross stitches, in the finale, I don't know if you picked this up, but when Tom goes into the bathroom to call on the radio and he is like dreading having to kill Ruth, on the cross stitch right next to him it says, "Good things come to those that wait." Like almost like saying, hey man, pump the brakes on killing the old woman. Give it 37 seconds or 27 seconds for the tea to stew or whatever, and then kill her, like that sort of thing. So I feel like the cross stitches might really speak to us in the finale if you pay attention.
I love that. Because I feel like I did clock that, but I didn't think there was any greater meaning at the time. But going back and thinking about it, it's brilliant. I loved it.
And then the other piece was the bathroom scream. Tom, do you remember the bathroom scream? We spent so much time trying to figure out what was going on there.
I did. It was funny too because the finale I did rewatch again with my wife, and when we watched it, I don't know if like the audio wasn't high enough, but I couldn't hear it at all. So I feel like it was almost like kind of a throwaway thing. But I mean, going back in the rewatch, it's more just there's a lightning clap, and it might have just startled Ruth downstairs, so she just kind of shrieks.
That's exactly right. On the rewatch, what I discovered is there's a clap of thunder and lightning, and she screams almost like it startles her. And that's it. It makes perfect sense. Not that I've ever been afraid of a storm. That's canonically something we've established on pod. But in this situation, I believe Ruth is just startled by the storm. Mm-hmm. I want to talk finale, the moment where Bashir comes in and he shoots Ruth. And I'm going to pose this to you, Tom, and remember the rule. You cannot say I don't know. Does it feel like Bashir shoots Ruth with very little evidence and are we just taking it as what his state of mind is, that he's so panicked that he's just, this is the easiest route, and so he's going to shoot this old woman? Feels like he shows up, sees two people hugging, and shoots an old woman, right?
Yes, very much so. I mean, he shoots first and asks questions later kind of a bit. Because we know he's seen some of the haunt, right? Like in the boogeyman kind of thing. But he doesn't know the gist of everything unless Patricia does actually tell him a lot more. Because we don't get that conversation, right? It's just Patricia turning in the door frame, him saying something to him. But maybe it was more all-inclusive and enough for him to shoot an old lady.
I just wish Bashir had looked at the cross stitch in the bathroom and read that good things come to those who wait. On the rewatch, the other thing I found absolutely hilarious is in this moment, Tom has picked Ruth up off the couch because she's drugged. So he is literally holding her up. And then Bashir shoots and Tom drops her. So instead of like the bullet putting her down, she falls to the ground because Tom lets go. And so when you think of it as this is like an old woman who is, Tom is helping and holding, and then all of a sudden he just drops her, I find that even funnier than, honestly, her getting shot is not very funny. So the comedic play here. But when you rewatch it and you realize she's just drugged and he drops her, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I feel like I did have that same thought too, because the way she falls, you assume she got like shot in the back and she just completely passed out. But as we find out later, she just got grazed in the ear. So for her to fall over did make sense. But the fact that he just got dropped because of the drugging, I never put those two together, and that's brilliant.
It is, and it was a magic bullet because that bullet is not lodged in her anywhere. It seems to have skimmed her head. It also didn't hit a window or a curtain or anything. That bullet just disappeared. It's a magic bullet, just like the one that got Kennedy. All right.
Or that blends delicious smoothies.
That's fair. That's fair. There was the magic bullet. A great wedding gift, some would say. A great wedding gift. Man, that thing ran for years and years, and then it died. And then I bought a second one, and that second one did not last as long. Anyways, Tom, you're a very generous gift giver. I can't wait for the gift you give me on my second wedding. All right. I want to talk about, as we're talking about Bashir, so his motivation right now is he doesn't want his kid to be born on the island. And I guess let's theory craft a little here, Tom. If his kid is born on the island, but they still break the curse, his kid is free, right? His kid being born on the island, it's the same thing with Evan. They're not doomed for eternity as long as we can figure out a way to break the curse, like the long-standing curse, right?
Yes, I think that's my thought as well. But Bashir and I think the rest of this greater group does not understand that. We do as like an audience. And because I think the whole idea with the trolley problem kind of concept in this episode is essentially now, right? Like the show has become a trolley problem. Like who is going to decide, like is anybody going to decide to sacrifice Evan? And at this point, we know that Tom is the only one who knows. We know he won't. So how many people are we going to sacrifice before potentially just sacrificing Evan, and then the whole curse is over and people can leave the island and have a jolly old time?
Right. But I guess I wanted to sanity check on the sense that the son, Bashir's son or daughter will not be doomed for all of eternity if they can break the curse outright. I do want to point out that in like episode 2, when Bashir talks to his wife on the phone and they're talking about leaving the island, he says something like, "We will be gone by Labor Day." And I was like, oh, that's funny. They're hiding a pregnancy, and he refers to Labor Day. And labor is something I believe that women go through prior to giving birth. It's a great miracle.
I think there's a handful of other things that he says to her. I can't clock any of them right now, but it's like about like the getting the ice cream or something very specific about pregnancy that had like a double meaning. So I think they were definitely playing with the audience quite a bit here.
Yeah, when he's buying something to eat in the gas station, he says, "Oh, I can't eat this at home. She can't stand the smell." So it's like one of those pregnancy things that triggers. So yeah, if you were attuned to it, you guys could have figured it out early that Bashir's wife was pregnant. While we're talking about Bashir, we got a lovely email from Elise R., and she gave us a little knowledge nugget, and I wanted to share this. And I'm going to mess this up, and I did not fact check this. So if I'm wrong, you can reach us at teambingepodcast@gmail.com. Just make the subject line Elise was wrong, and then we'll forward it to her. But she pointed out that Bashir's name, which has, I guess, a Hebrew background, it's based on Besheret, and I'm sure I'm butchering all of this, but it's meant to mean good things to come. There's also like an Arabic origin where it means bringer of good news. So you could take his name. It's a very unique name, and if TV's taught me anything, they probably chose it purposefully, but the hope here is that ultimately Bashir and his family will get good news, bring good news, something good will happen for them, Tom. I need it to happen for them.
Well, we had kind of talked about, we were hoping they could be like the shining lights and be the ones that can kind of get off this island. It doesn't seem like that's going to happen based on how we end season 2 or season 1, but yeah, I would hope that this can be maybe some light at the end of this dark tunnel.
I agree. And then along these same lines in this finale, the doctor clearly pulls Bashir aside and says, "Hey, this baby is coming tonight." So I know we talked about the egg timer being the like literal countdown clock for this episode, but we were also supposed to get a baby. And for the life of me, after the first rewatch, I was like, "Did the baby come? Did I miss a child's birth?" And then on the rewatch, I was like, "Oh no baby shows up." And we see Tom and Evan, I believe, the next morning, right? So did the baby just? Is this doctor, to your point earlier, with ages, bad at telling when babies are coming too?
I think so. I think the idea was just to give a sense of urgency to Bashir's character, like the baby could come, so he needed to act right then. But yeah, maybe we pick up in season 2, and I wouldn't be mad if they just had already had the baby's at home, or she got to a hospital, whatever else, because we did see them getting out of kind of that bunker or shelter prior to a child. So
Tom, I will be furious if I'm not at the birth of this child, or at this child's birth, however you would say that. However a normal human would say that. I'd like to be there.
Child's
I've got
birthday.
a lot invested. Uh-huh. All right. I just felt like they tricked us a little bit on that. Here's the other piece. Ruth's not dead, right? Well,
No.
The assumption is you don't pick her up off the floor. You don't show a little bit of blood on the side of her head if you're not going to let her live. If they kill her off season, I think that'll be terrible. But I'm going to talk this through with you. Since Ruth is not dead, and Ruth's secret is that she is what everyone thinks is the last remaining descendant of Richard Warren, her self-preservation might kick in here and let people know, actually, I did have a baby. The line does extend past May. And oh, by the way, the baby is dun 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 Evan, or wait, I'm sorry, Lauren, which begot Evan. Like, there doesn't have to be much for the sheriff, because he asked Tom, and Tom says she wasn't the last line, and he's like, well, who is it? And Tom's like, I don't know. But now that Ruth is awake, we could start asking questions of Ruth, because Bashir knows Ruth is the last of the line, supposedly, right? So all we got to do is waterboard Ruth and then kill her, and then kill Evan. I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about how we're going to trace this, because the show does a little bit of a chicanery here where you're like, okay, Ruth's dead, Tom's the only one with a secret. But that's not true. Ruth has a secret and Tom has the secret, and they both know it.
Well, and yeah, I was kind of thinking about the how are we going to get more people to know eventually that it's Evan? And I can't imagine it's going to be Ruth. Like, maybe she says it on accident, but I don't think she would do anything to put Evan in jeopardy. Like, because maybe Tom is going to confide in her, tell her, like, what is going on. Because, again, she seems just so blissfully ignorant about this. Like, just all this haunt and all the crazy stuff that happens on the island is just life, because she has lived her whole life on said island. But I don't think she's going to be the catalyst for the outing of Evan.
Do you think she's going to use her kind of outlook on life to brush off this gunshot wound? She's just going to be like, oh, we weather the storm on Widow's Bay. This is the third time I've been shot by a sheriff. I'll be fine. Another one will come down the line. Like, what? I feel like Ruth's got to ask some questions after this. Like, why did Sheriff pop in and shoot me in the head? Like,
I mean, that's fair. I mean, she did say that life is a house of horrors, so now it's literally in her house, so...
Right. I mean, we could do what Smallville did on the WB back in the day, which is as soon as someone's knocked out, they just don't remember what happened. So she comes to, and she is 84 years old. She's tired, so maybe she just won't remember this. It just feels like if one person knows a secret, I feel confident it's not getting out. Once two people know a secret, you know... Secrets are no fun, Tom. You know, once one old lady knows, you got to kill her, I think is how the rest of it goes.
Yeah.
This summer, Prime Video takes you back before Legally Blonde, before law school, and into the world of Elle Woods in high school. Set in 1995, this Gemini vegetarian knows exactly who she is until her family moves from Bel Air to Seattle. Packed with iconic fashion, 90s nostalgia, and a throwback soundtrack, Elle proves one thing. Law school was hard. High school was harder. From the world of Legally Blonde, watch Elle, a new original series only on Prime Video July 1st.
Are your ad campaigns lighting up the dashboard, but not the pipeline? That's bullspend, and marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
My boss asked for results, so I opened my dashboard for the only positive-sounding metric I had: impressions.
Cut the bullspend. See revenue, not just reach. LinkedIn delivers the highest return on ad spend of major ad networks. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
The other side of this, I didn't have a ton of questions or like stuff I reflected on back in the shelter, other than with Dale. I don't know if you picked this up, Tom, but he watches two reels. The first reel is labeled For Them, and that's the reel that says, you were chosen as a sacrifice, pump the brakes, you were chosen for a reason, society doesn't want you anymore, it's okay, like, go screaming. And then reel 2 is For You, which is the people administering, and it's like, hey, the bad times will end once the covenant is honored, make sure these people are terrified. We've got some questions about this later of just like who left these and why does no one know about them. But I thought it was interesting just how they were labeled. I didn't catch it on the first watch.
Yeah, I didn't either. I think on my second watch, I kind of clocked that. And I do, like, just kind of expanding on that kind of fear concept. There's a YouTuber called Megan Park. She did some great videos on the entire series. And she did one talking about, like, essentially, like, what is the big thing onto the island? Like, what is it? And, like, I think the concept and idea of it being fear is an interesting thing. Like, maybe it does have some sort of manifestation. But like everybody is essentially acting and doing these crazy things on fear, right? Like Tom is doing everything because he's afraid of what might happen to Evan. Bashir obviously does what he does because he's afraid of, what would happen to his child. Patricia does the things because she's, feared for kind of the humiliation or kind of public scrutiny that she feels like she gets. And I feel like all that's very interesting because that is essentially what the island wants. And they make a point of saying like it feeds and enjoys the taste of that fear.
Right.
So I like that overall concept.
Right. No, that's very interesting. And when I get to my thesis statement on this show, Tom, in a little while, I would like to hold that thought because I do want to talk big picture, like what we know at this point. And along those lines, we got a couple of questions from listeners, so I want to hit those right now. David G reached out to us, and once again, we appreciate everyone that's engaged, everyone that sent us stuff. What I find, Tom, amazingly enough, the people that listen are very kind, very generous, and they're also super funny. I don't know what it is about the people that listen to this podcast, but they are extremely funny. So if you want to join in, you can reach us at teambingepodcast@gmail.com, but David G wrote us, and his whole question goes down to, hey, why does no one on this island remember that there is a whole like death cult setup right below town hall? The news reels or the reels that Dale watches look like they're all from the 70s. How does no one alive remember this? And so I think David's question is a great one. I also want to give his daughter a shout out. Congratulations on 6-month Haley. But why does no one remember? And I would argue, like, Jerry's not in the shelter, and Jerry is the keeper of all of the history, right? She's this historic society person. So I wonder if Jerry knows. But also Jerry's been involved in trying to uncover the diary and the mystery, and she doesn't offer anything up. Rosemary's the genealogy person, and all she mentions about this basement is, oh, my predecessor told me not to go down there. I feel like Garrett at the lighthouse probably has some secrets, right? That guy seems to probably knows everything, and he's like, I'm the lighthouse dude. Unless I'm asked, I'm not going to tell anyone anything. Unless they want the starter, I'm not going to ride my bike over,
That's fair.
And then go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I definitely have that sense that the more interesting question to me is, like, who is that guy on the film reel? Like, is that a previous mayor? Is it, like, he's wearing a lab coat, so is he a doctor, a scientist? Like, I don't know what that guy is, because to me it almost feels like this is a very tight-knit thing that, like, the people that are quote-unquote in the coven would be the only ones that know. And, like, the mayor would be the one that, like, leads all of this. And Tom just didn't get that memo. He didn't read that pamphlet, whatever, when he took over the job. But I'm very interested to know, like, who is in the know, because it clearly is not widely known.
Yeah, it's interesting to know that of all the people, because there are a lot of old people on this island, and there are a lot of them that remember things. Ruth seems to have these moments of clarity where she's remembering every dude that made a pass at her from the 40s on. Like, why are we not remembering this basement? But I also just forgive it as a showism. It's like, it was fun to find it. These people discover it. These people realize what's going on. And we have a season 2 coming. So hopefully they reveal it a little bit more. But it is a little bit questionable. I guess, Tom, have you ever worked in a building and not known what was in the floor below you? I would argue we probably all have, anyone that's worked an office job at some point. So maybe that's just what it is.
We do know it's centralized, right below the salty whale, so I wonder if that's going to kind of come and play at some point. But I feel like it's more just like government conspiracy kind of thing, right? Like the mayor's office is the one that knows about this, and like when Rhys said, oh, those people that disappeared when they were trying to build a trolley, like maybe that's what like the government or the mayor said, that these people disappeared. But in all reality, they just took all these people and used them for the sacrifice.
And fed them to the island. Sure.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
fair. That's fair. I have questions about the doctor as to why he's so bad at his job. Maybe he doesn't remember. I also have questions about the old guy that likes to monologue in doorways because he's been in the shelter. He says something like, oh, there was a storm in 72, we were down here for 6 days. So it's like, hey, old man, like in 62, did you feed anyone to a monster in the basement? I don't know. He's given us all the information we don't want, but I thought that was a very interesting question. And then I want to talk, John M. reached out to us. It was good to hear from John. And John's question that I wanted to touch on was this chamber down below is satiated by sacrifice. And at the end of the finale, the bell tolls 8 times. Now, I just want to point out that in previous episodes, Tom, how many times does the bell toll?
I believe when we first hear it, it's 9 times.
That's right. So at the end of the finale, we hear 8 times. So the assumption is Kenny's death, which is a legitimate sacrifice, brings the number from 9 to 8, right?
Yeah, I think I was confused on that in my first watch. I assumed it was like the haunts, like as they kill people, then they are part of the sacrifice. But no, I think they have to literally be sacrificed to whatever is this demonic possession or something that is in that specific room.
Sure.
So yeah, 9 at the beginning of the season and now 8. And I think too, like maybe there is some time gaps here, right? Because once they do get to 0, like for example, like because it seemed like in those video reels or film reels, they were like 8 people were in the room together. So they were just like sacrifice, and then
big meal,
and
big
then
meal for the island, like
exactly,
not like appetizer. And finale, it was Kenny that was the appetizer. In that video, they were giving him the full meal. The island had a full belly, little guy.
Yeah. So the island being satiated, we don't know how long that lasts because I think however long it lasted from the last time, now it is happening again, and that's when the bell tolls, and that's when all the shenanigans kind of happen. So, yeah, the idea of this kind of having to continue going on is we're going to have to see 8 more sacrifices.
Yeah, so the guy on the video says something like, the bell tolls for how many lives the island wants. And then once you make that sacrifice, he says something like, let's hope for a long and like prosperous peace.
Right.
So there's like an untold time period of peace once you make all the sacrifices. Real quick, Tom, I don't want to spend a ton of time on bells because I know you've been hurt by bells before and that you hate them deep down. And so I don't want to trigger you. But I just want to hit some numbers real fast. Beginning of episode 2, it rings 9 times. End of episode 3, it rings 9 times. It rings 8 times at the end of the finale. In episode 6, which is in the 1700s, with Richard Warren, it tolls 5 times. And I think you clocked it when we talked about it. You were like, why? Because he seems to like really sigh hard at night when the bell starts to toll. And I think we now realize that he knows he owes 5 lives to the island when it tolls that many times. And I would argue after he throws Ezra Lowry into the chamber, he owes 4 more. But so Richard Warren wasn't murdering people. He was just knocking them down and feeding them to the island. I just want to, not a murderer. Yeah. Well, I guess, is it murder if you feed it to the island? I don't know. Not a lawyer. Maybe. The jury's still out, Tom. We don't know whether or not it's truly murder, you know?
That's fair. We're not lawyers. Yeah, we've said it many a time.
We're not lawyers. We're not doctors. We're barely even podcasters. All right. Here's what I want to do. And I don't want to bore you, Tom, but I want to talk big picture as I've sat down and thought this through, and you've touched on a lot of it. But I want to make sure that we are clear on big picture. And I do appreciate this show. You don't even have to do this stuff. You can watch the show and like turn your brain off and not really care about the big picture. But that's not how you and I operate. So Let's talk big picture. So here's what we know. Based on rewatch, there is an evil spirit or entity that lives in this island. and the physical manifestation of it, or how we feed it, is through that hatch in the basement, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's my take.
Okay, and the origin of this is that this spirit may have existed on this island prior to humans discovering it, but while Richard Warren was starving in the 1700s, he ate the mushrooms, and from what I understand, he ate True Sight, and True Sight allows you to hear the island and communicate with it. And I think that because we have a conversation between Richard Warren and Mayor Tom when Mayor Tom takes True Sight, and we have him over the toilet, and like we do that zoom in, and he's like hearing voices and stuff. The next episode in the one where they go out on the boat, he talks to Richard Warren and he explains, hey, I spoke to the island too. And whereas Richard Warren made a covenant with the island, a life for a life, in order for the people to survive, Mayor Tom says something like, I didn't talk to it, or I didn't follow it. I didn't make a deal with it. So that's how I understand you communicate with this evil island, by ingesting True Sight. Does that sound right to you?
No, I think it does. Like, it does give you some otherworldly ability to be in one with the island. And I also wonder, like, does that allow you to hear the bell tolls? Like, was it just the people that are part of the covenant can hear it? Because I felt like there were other times that it rang and others did not hear it or clock it, right?
So, from what I understand, Tom hears the bells. He mentions that Patricia heard the bells, and he also mentioned that Evan heard the bells. And initially the priest doesn't hear the bells, but later on, after the priest has taken True Sight, he leaves a voicemail for Tom where he says, I heard it. And my assumption is he either heard the bells or he heard the island talking. And that's what kind of led him to him, I don't know, he was probably, like, he was having back problems, so he did one of those harnesses thing on the door, so he was trying to, like, decompress his back, I believe is what was happening. But we haven't seen him since then, so I hope his back's feeling good. With that conversation with Tom and Richard Warren, I want to point out that Richard Warren says something like, the island was starving and so were we. And so this, like, feeding of people to the island is a hunger thing. And so it's interesting that you brought up earlier that this island feeds on, I guess, fear. So I don't know if there's something to read in more to that, other than that's what it craves, humans who are scared, I guess.
Well, and it's like it feeds on like the concept of that fear, and likes, quote unquote, likes the taste. Like, it still needs to be able to take the souls of people, I guess, like in their bodies or everything, but then like all the stuff leading up to it, and like the reason there are haunts, and like everybody is like being haunted by like their own version of like their haunted past, is because the entity or whatever it is trying to feed on that concept of fear.
Okay, I like that. I also want to delineate, because I think we had this debate, and I've come to the conclusion that, and this maybe is not a difficult conclusion to come to, but I'm an idiot, so this is what I had to write down, is that people that are like killed during the haunts, that is a different death than sacrifice to the island. So the dudes that are killed by the boogeyman, the shaman, who I hold out might still be alive. He might just be on the greatest trip ever. Mm-hmm. But if he is dead, God rest his soul, he was not a sacrifice. He was just a death by haunt. And so death by haunt is the island punishing the people so that they will honor the covenant and make a sacrifice. Does all of this make sense, Tom?
Yes, I think you've clocked it. And again, some of that I did not necessarily get on my first watch, but after podcasting about it for a while, and I know you've done 2 watches, I am definitely in agreement with your synopsis.
Okay, wonderful. If we got that wrong, if there's stuff we missed, you can reach Tom at teambingepodcast@gmail.com. Just put in the subject line, Julian was right, but Tom, I want to tell you something else, and Tom will get those emails. Tom, let's dive into some questions. And I just want to conjecture about next season, where we're going, those types of things. So, and we just talked about the priest. why did the priest kill himself? And I feel like, and honestly, part of this is I really like that actor. Once again, he was in *Halt and Catch Fire*. I think he does a very good job. I feel like he was poorly used in this. He showed up, left a voicemail, and died. Why did he kill himself? And why was he burning everything in his office? Do you have a theory behind that?
Yeah, I don't know. So to your point, I don't know if I clocked this, but you believe, because he did have those mushrooms on his desk, he actually took it and went through some sort of hallucinogenic trip, right?
Yes. So I think my theory is that when he runs into the kids and he goes to the well and all that, that's after he has ingested True Sight, because
so
he's just acting
woods.
too weird. Mm-hmm. And so when he leaves the message that says, I heard it, I don't know if that's him talking to the island, but I also think that with the bell tolling, he found out about these human sacrifices. And so I don't know if he killed himself because he found this history and realized the burden is partially on him now, that he's got to go kill some innocent people and he's unwilling to do that. I don't know. Selfishly, he could have thrown himself down the hatch and solved one of the bells, I think.
It could have. I mean, I definitely had that thought where I would have assumed, because he almost seemed to have instructions, right? There were things that were written down in the church that were telling him about the fog or the bells, or not to the same extent that those film reels did. But yeah, I don't, outside of just the suicide being a means for the other characters to not know enough and move the story forward, I don't see a logical reason for why he would have.
Yeah, I think in the note it even mentions, hey, when the bell tolls, unfortunately this burden has fallen to you, and it mentions a chamber in that note. I actually paused it and read written word, Tom. I pulled what we like to call a Tom in the business.
Proud of you.
All right, so I still have questions about what happened to the priest. I don't know if that's going to be a season 2 thing or if I just have to accept what we've been shown. Along those lines of that note left for the priest, where did the communication break down for the mayors? Because it feels like other mayors were probably in on this sacrificial bit, and Tom didn't get the memo. Do you have thoughts?
Wasn't it, did Rhys say Howard the Coward? Was that one of the previous mayors?
Yes,
I can't
Rhys
remember.
Said Howard the Coward got scared and left.
So maybe that was the thing. You're supposed, as a mayor, you're supposed to pass on this knowledge or whatever. But Howard the Coward ran off, didn't say anything, didn't pass on whatever black binder that needed to go to the next mayor of the instructions, and Tom never got him. Because we know that Tom ran uncontested. We don't know what the situation was beforehand. But that's kind of my take. The island was satiated for a while, and maybe it went as long as a certain mayor's time in office. And because I just thought it was just nonsense, I didn't think to pass it on.
Do you think it's unfair that Howard the Coward was named Howard the Coward because coward is maybe the only thing that rhymes with Howard?
Well, Coward was his last name.
No. You think his nickname was Coward? You think he was Howard Coward Coward? That doesn't make any sense. Coward to the power of 2? The power of 2 they called him? I mean, you get real granular. I think it's unfair that they called him a coward simply because it rhymed with his
that is fair.
First name. Yeah. I guess I would argue timeline on that. So these reels are from the 40s, 50s, 60s. When was Howard the Coward making a pass at Ruth? Had he already left? Did he leave after those reels? Did he watch those reels and then bounce? Maybe. I guess that might work timeline wise.
Yeah, a lot of questions as to, who made those reels and who are the people in said reels making them? Is that the little black binder that Tom was supposed to see and never got?
Right.
He's supposed to have gone down to this room, and maybe there's more. We know there were more film reels than just those 2, right? So maybe we'll get more of those in next season.
Right. And we got an email from Karen G. along this point. She mentions, when did Tom know? What does Tom know? Because we still have that line from him about, did you find that in the basement? And so is the storm shelter the basement that he's talking about? Is that, I would argue Tom doesn't know any of this stuff. He just, unless he's had amnesia or, once again, he was in Smallville and Clark Kent hit him in the head. I don't really know how he doesn't remember this or how he's playing this so... He just seems confused a lot. And he tells the story about, I used to laugh at Lauren when she would tell me about what the island was doing, and he seems very remorseful about that. So I don't know that he knows about the sacrifice.
I think he knows
and this
aspects, yeah, but there's no way he knows to the extent of like what Dale saw. Like that, there's just no way.
Study and play come together on a Windows 11 PC. And for a limited time, college students get the best of both worlds. Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
So in season 1, we had a time jump episode. We had the period piece with our good friend Betty Gilpin. Do you think in season 2 they'll do a time jump episode to, I would suspect, like when they were making these video reels, when the government got involved and was like, hey, this is how you survived the Soviets' atomic bomb, children? Like,
go to your desk. Yeah. No, I think that would be an interesting concept because I think initially we thought like, oh, this flashback episode was kind of like a bottleneck. They didn't really do much, but it ended up being very integral to the overall story. And I think doing that again in the next season, like sparingly, because I don't think you want to do too much of it, I think could be very fun. And I can't remember who it was, and apologies for the person that reached out. I didn't think it was on one of the socials, but like there's definitely some like lost parallels in here, right? Of like the Dharma Initiative, like a hatch, a monster, and this concept of flashbacks. I think this is kind of like a cleaner, better take on some of this lost mystery that we got way back when.
I don't know what you're talking about. The only Dharma I know is Best Friends with Greg, all right? And I watched all 20 seasons. I think maybe also on the WB. No, I think it was like NBC. It doesn't matter. No, there's definitely, I think Lost, to its credit, probably laid some stuff out in more detail just based on what I know about the show and listening to the creator talk. I don't know that we're going to have to go deep into lore, but there are definitely some like hatch, as you mentioned, like Dharma, all that stuff, Dharma and Greg. Good point, Tom. You made a great Dharma and Greg point.
There also is, like, in the finale, there's, like, a big red button that gets, like, a couple extra screen time. And I'm wondering what that will ultimately be. Is that open the door, like the hatch down below? Doesn't seem like there needs to be a button for it, but they stay on it too long for it not to be something.
That's also the room that says, like, clear and stack your weapons.
Yeah.
It also... So I think it's just like a, hey, if stuff goes bad, here's an alarm button. Okay. I do want to clock... When Dale goes into one of those rooms, there's a cork board, and on it is a single Polaroid of like a child, a singular children, as we like to say, a child, Tom, like standing with his back to the camera. And once again, they clock it in the background. I don't know if it's a throwaway, what it's supposed to mean. Maybe that's one of the sacrifices, but definitely clocked it. So... who knows? Maybe when we're on season 7, we'll look back on all this and be like, we should have seen it. It was Dharma and Greg the whole time.
Oh, man, I hope we get 7 seasons.
All right. The last thing I just want to conjecture about season 2 is that I believe we probably are definitely getting another drug trip episode because I think ultimately Tom's going to have to talk to this island and maybe make a deal. And figure out where they go from here. So
that'd be interesting.
I don't think that was everyone's favorite episode. We got a great amount of joy out of it, but I'm excited to have Tom tripping on drugs again. Not you. I don't want to trigger you, Tom, but Mayor Tom Loftus from the show.
But I mean, we don't have the shaman anymore, so how's he gonna find drugs?
Oh, I think he's going to find a bag full of socks and drugs out in the rain, and he's going to have all the drugs he needs, if I'm being honest. Anything else you want to hit? Questions about season 2 or this season?
No, I mean, I feel like they were just like we touched on quite a few of them. I think there were just some really cool things throughout the season of like, you can very easily miss it if you're not paying attention. Like that cannibalism poster in the historical society or whatever, and it says like God, the cannibalism in God's house, and like you look at like the bolded letters of each of the paragraphs, it says SOS, damn us, which is again kind of like a little clever nod, which I think is great. There's a little bit when like the clown episode when we do see like that skeleton in that crawl space, it seems to be wearing the exact same shirt that Tom has, and it's not like just a regular old polo, it's like a very like a button-down patterned shirt, which I think is interesting.
It's distinct and they hold on it. And then the other thing about that clown is he talks to Tom. His name's William. We call him Bill the clown for short.
Yeah.
He's talking to Tom, and he mentions that he's there as like a structural engineer to look at the dock, to do a dock inspection. Well, in episode 3, on the chalkboard in the mayor's office, so the next episode, it says dock inspection. So I have some real questions about that particular episode, whether or not... Because the other haunts in this show have all been physical. Like, the boogeyman's physical. The sea hag dies by harpoon. Richard Warren was real and lived and came out of a casket. But in the episode in the hotel... He's chased by the clown in the crawl space, but he wakes up in bed, and the video shows him alone, not talking to anyone in the bar. Mm-hmm. So I find, like, going back to that one, I was like, wait, so is this one a hallucinogen, whereas the other ones are clearly, like, tactile, the haunts are killable? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think that's just kind of like and I'm okay to forgive it because I think the show was just trying to do a bunch of different horror genres, elements, and things like that. So
I'm not saying they've done anything wrong. They don't need my forgiveness. I'm just wondering why in that episode, because that's the same one where they bring up the black mold, and you're kind of like, okay, so is that having some sort of effect, much like True Sight on Tom in terms of what he's seen?
Yeah, and there's some trippy, timey-wimey stuff too, right? Where like the hotel owner goes into the room.
Yeah.
Like he was in there for like half an hour or hours or something like that. Like asked for food after they opened the door, but it would only really been like 15 seconds. So yeah, there's definitely something funky going on in the hotel, and maybe we'll explore it some more.
Maybe that haunt as a whole, in terms of being physical, is just that it's a haunted hotel, and those are the things that you experience. Now, they're not going to kill you, but they are going to give you a poor night's sleep, and you're probably going to get MRSA. He plays, I want to point this out, he plays Daddy's Home with William the Clown. On this rewatch, they zoom in on the pieces, and the game pieces are a beer, a decanter of booze, a rolled up newspaper, a folded up belt, and a pan. So it's like Daddy comes home and drinks and then beats you, and that's what that game is about. And I thought... On rewatch, I was like, oh, that game, I knew it was dark, but it gets a lot darker once you start reading the pieces and the board game. It's pretty bad.
Oh, yeah, that's another level. Because I think I kind of clocked it, but I didn't clock all the different things, very much like, Monopoly-style pieces. But, yeah, not great.
Here's the last thing I want to hit just on my rewatch, and it's probably nothing, but... There's certain phrases that are used in multiple episodes that are just not a normal way to talk. And one of them is after the townspeople are getting ready for like tours to come in, and they are, redoing the motel, buying the cappuccino machine. The mayor's office is apparently enacting a city tax, and the response to Dale is like, you can come get that money from our like cold dead hands. Like when you want the blood money, come and get it. And then the other part is when the curfew's enacted, the townspeople are like, hey, we've poured our blood, sweat, and tears into this island. So it's almost like there's a lot of like sacrificial blood talk when it comes to the townsfolk. And so I wonder if that verbiage is just directing the audience to the blood sacrifice that is happening deep in the basement of this island. And I don't know if I'm reaching too far, but are we getting tourists back so that we can sacrifice them, Tom? Is that ultimately the goal?
Maybe, yeah, get those Martha Vineyards tourists over here.
Yeah, because Martha Vineyard's not killing them. Let's bring them over to Widow's Bay. It's cheaper to visit Widow's Bay. It's one-way ticket.
Exactly.
Every time they're like, oh, I'd like a round ticket for the ferry, the boat guy's like, you only need a ticket there. You'll be fine, All right, Tom. I think that is all that I wanted to do from theory crafting and rewatch. And so I want to kind of finish this up with, let's talk favorite episodes. We got 10 strong episodes of a TV show that we really enjoyed. I gotta be honest, I enjoyed all of them. There was not one that I would say was a standout as the weakest, unless you could say the penultimate, but it was leading up to the finale, so I was okay with it. So I'd like to talk favorite episodes. Did you have a favorite episode of this season of Widow's Bay?
Yeah, I'm with you, man. There are a lot of great call-outs, and I think my favorite was probably episode 7, the seasickness, where we got the zombie Richard Warren. I think, I kind of clocked, oh, maybe we're going to get a zombie, but, no, that would be too silly. That'd be too far-fetched, because we've obviously done some crazy things in this show, but to bring back this actor in full-on zombie makeup, I thought was just so much fun, and the way he kind of dealt with Tom in, modern society was so great. I would argue this episode gave us probably one of the best lines of the series, and wasn't even a spoken line. It was just written, where the notes from Patricia trying to talk to Richard Warren, which just said, "Hello, I am Patricia," turns the page. "Are you mad at something I said?" It's just you could just picture Patricia in that sequence, and again, just her mannerisms, her everything. It's great, and it's just a fantastic joke.
And in that same scene, you get the jump scare, but the jump scare is her bursting back into the room and being like, "Oh, I forgot my purse." Just great. And then also the bodily fluid pact, which just an incredible bit of comedy.
Oh, it's so good. The telling of him that, Richard, hey, we got to take you out to sea, but you got to get back in the coffin. That's great. And then the exchange back and forth when they're on the boat, and he's saying, "F you, man, let me out of this coffin."
When he won't let him out, yeah.
And then he ultimately does let him out, but doesn't tell Wick that he did, and they do that camera pan. There's just so many great things throughout that episode. And again, it really extended the lore, gave us that direct kind of connection to the origin of the island. And like you had mentioned, a boat on the water in the middle of the night is terrifying, and it was great stuff.
So is a walking corpse eating Vienna sausages and breathing into your face. I can't even imagine the smell. No, that's a great episode. It also gives you the moment where Matthew Rhys slides off the table, and he just does a great pratfall. Someone made that into a meme, or not a meme,
it's the greatest
but a GIF.
Yeah.
Oh, it's incredible. So yeah, strong episode. I'm gonna cop out here. I think I'm gonna choose probably what most people's was, and I think just a really special episode of television, which is episode 4, Beach Reads, which we got to see Patricia as a whole, flex all of her muscles. We got to watch her dance. We got to watch her throw a party, which means she's an important person. If you throw a party and people come, Tom, it means you're an important person. We watched her get to see something that the government does all the time. She cancels a dude's birthday party so that her party's better. I mean, the government crushing people's spirits is just awesome. Everyone loves it. And you and I watch a lot of television, obviously, and I think you and I are TV-brained, and we see most things coming. I gotta be honest, I did not. When Bashir goes, "Patricia, what the bleep are you doing?" I was totally taken by surprise. And the chicanery they do, where all of a sudden she's wearing antlers and she was wearing a tiara. Just a great episode of television from a reveal standpoint and everything. So
there was some extra things that I feel like I looked back and kind of clocked where, when she first picks up that book that's got written by Lucy Force, which we pick up later, which I thought was great. I did not pick it up at the time, but there's a fly that flies on the book, and I think that's kind of a horror-y trope that it's some sort of possession or it's haunted. We can kind of see the pages throughout as she's reading them almost get mold almost on them throughout before we get the big reveal. And I think there's also a moment too where she puts the book on her nightstand and she's in her bedroom and she puts her coffee mug on top of the book. and then she goes to the her mirror and then comes back, and the mug is off of the book.
Oh, interesting.
And it was like, again, a very similar thing that we had when she opened the door for like the boogeyman, or she closed the door, left the paddy wagon, went back to the door, and it was open. Like a brilliant, just extra little clock kind of thing where, I don't know, the book doesn't like hot mugs or doesn't want to get a ring on it, but the fact that like the hauntedness of the book made it the mug go off of it was great. And this whole episode was brilliant.
Right. And then all of it ending, her dejected, walking on the road for Tom and Wick to pull up, and Tom to say, hey, we might need your help. And you can just see like the relief on her face that someone needs me. I'm useful. I have purpose after everything's gone wrong. Also, we can't forget about DJ Dale spinning those tracks. We got Corona playing the Rhythm of the Night, 7-inch, parentheses, whatever the real title was. Tom didn't get it right in trivia. Go listen to the trivia episode. We had a lot of fun. Tom did quite well, we'll say.
I tried, but I think we have found out that I can't sing it on the podcast, or else we'll get copyright infringement. So
that's exactly why we got the government canceling our birthday parties. Thank you very much. All right, Tom, let's wrap it up by rolling into Audience Corner. We got a ton of emails, which we've mentioned some of them. I do want to hit very quickly. You can reach us at teambingepodcast@gmail.com. By all means, even though we're done with Widow's Bay content, if you have more stuff you want to reach out to us on regarding it, the inbox is open. Tom will read them. I will read them. One of us will reply, possibly, depending on how exciting Silo is at the moment. But Karen B. reached out to us, and we had apparently gone on some rant about Ford Tauruses, Tom. I don't remember. Did you hate Ford Tauruses? Which of us hated Ford Tauruses? I don't quite remember what the context was.
This was the poster in Evan's room, and you started throwing shade at it because it was like just an old car, and you thought it was a Ford Taurus. And I think I had posted something on social media about said poster, and that's probably maybe this person found that and sent us this email, because the email was fantastic.
It was a great email. To sum it up, Karen used to be, well, she probably still is, but she mentioned in the email that when she was young and hot and people made passes, that was a great joke, Karen, her and her friend drove around in a 10-year-old Taurus, and one day it brought a man a calling who was more interested in the 10-year-old Taurus than the two girls driving it, and it was just a great story. Karen, I got to be honest, as I was reading it, I was a little bit nervous that this was going to end with the man being some sort of like notorious serial killer, and you barely escaped because he loved Tauruses, but just a great story all around. Thanks, Karen, for reaching out. I mentioned John M. Merlin. Merlin let us know that he's a trivia champ, that he totally roasted you, Tom. He did much better. I think that's what Merlin said. And then
I don't doubt it.
We got a great-looking beagle from Alex L. He sent a picture of his dog. It was a good-looking dog. And then Elise R. And nice to hear from Barrett. He's not watching Widow's Bay, but good to hear from Barrett after all these years.
Yeah, for sure. And then very quickly, we got a handful of additional 5-star reviews. And again, can't thank those folks enough. I think we've gotten so many reviews from our Widow's Bay podcast, all seem to be very positive. I think we've gotten some 5 stars that people didn't leave comments for, which is no big deal at all. But for those that did leave comments, thank you. It means the world to us. We got one from Meekle, says he or she's been listening to a few of the shows, Rooster and Widow's Bay, that we made the Widow's Bay better and really enjoyed our pod, and said keep up the good work. Really appreciate that. Propagandary, which is a pretty cool name, said great recaps, making it feel like we're just listening to friends. He also ended it by saying it's a pip. I don't know what that is. Are we on performance improvement plans?
No, I think a pip is slang for it's
awesome.
Really specific podcast about Widow's Bay. That's what the slang word pip means.
Okay.
So I took it as a positive. If it's a negative, people, please don't let us know. Let us live in our delusion.
Listen, it was 5 stars, so I'm gonna say it was positive. We got, I think you had read an email from her. But
HWR Ceramics. Let's shout her workout. Go to HWR
Yes.
Ceramics. Buy a ceramic.
Buy a ceramic. Some good stuff. But yes, joined from the Widow's Bay. Funny conversational commentary. Encouraged her to rewatch. She came to laugh her butt off. And then she ends it by "Don't say we didn't warn you," which we still need to make T-shirts for that one.
Loved it.
And then our good pal Seth, who's been joining us, I believe, since the good old Lasso day, sent us a super, super kind message and review, just kind of talking about how our pod has been one of his favorite discoveries. He's enjoyed the hours of pure laughter, and he called it a must-live, or a
must-love.
Must-love, yeah, I just spelled it wrong with the outline, my bad. A must-love companion podcast, and I think he even clocked he's done 12 of our binges. So thank you, Seth. Really, really glad that you've been joining us for all these adventures. And then super quick shout-out, these folks didn't leave reviews, or at least not by these same names, but we've done a lot more stuff on YouTube by publishing these podcasts on there, and we've had a handful of folks reach out to us. Chris, me and you, Ghost Chef, C. Monty, and CPL Blue. Thank you for all your comments and playing along with us this season.
We thank all of you so much. If you have the time and you haven't yet, please write a review and give 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. If you listen through Spotify, if you'll hit the 5-star there and hit a follow. From here, Tom and I are going to continue with Apple shows. We will be coming back for Silo Season 3. We would love if all of you would join us there. And once again, if you want to reach out, hit us up at teambingepodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to support us, we have T-shirts at TeePublic. Tom, what did I miss?
And just follow us on the socials at Team Binge or at Team Binge Podcast. Let us know what you think of the show. If there's other shows that are coming up soon that you think would be fun for us to podcast on, or just a one-off movie, something like that. I think we got John Red requested maybe we do something brief on
Project Hail Mary.
Yeah, which we are not against because we both are on record saying how much we love that. But again, can't thank you enough for those folks that joined for this season. And like I said, man, season 2 can't come fast enough.
Yeah, hopefully they get it to us within a month. For Team Binge, I have been Julian.
For Team Binge, I have been Tom. Till next season, everybody.
Tires matter. They're the only part of your vehicle that touches the road. Tread confidently with new tires from Tire Rack. Whether you're looking for expert recommendations or know exactly what you want, Tire Rack makes it easy. Fast, free shipping, free road hazard protection, and convenient installation options. Go to TireRack.com to see tire test results, tire ratings, and consumer reviews, and be sure to check out all the special offers. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
Every act of change begins with a neighbor, with someone saying,
"We take care of each other here."
In food banks and food pantries, neighbors pack fresh food and dignity into every box, moving food from farms to families through Feeding America's nationwide network. So when that box reaches a home, it carries more than food. It carries a promise that together we can end hunger. Feeding America, led by neighbors. Give now to end hunger at feedingamerica.org.